Hey, everybody, it's Always Bookin Comedy. It's Monday night. We're doing another episode. We got Steve Venderploeg out of
What's
Denver,
up?
Colorado. What's going on, Steve? What's new? What did you do
Not
this
a
week?
lot. I'm realizing that my logo is backwards because it flips it for some reason, but
Oh,
that's fine.
it looks correct to me.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
Great. Oh, I'm just hanging out. Just been working today.
nice.
Yeah.
You done any travel recently? I know you're going all over the country doing cool stuff.
Yeah, I just got back from Boise, Idaho. I was performing on the Tree Ford Music Festival.
Oh, sweet. I've heard that's great.
It's so much fun.
Were there bands there that you were psyched about?
Yeah, and there's that, and then no matter what, like you can check out like any show. There's like 20 musicians playing at any time. You could just, if you
You got
see
a
something you
fancy
don't
artist
like, you just go
badge
to
and
the next venue.
you're like royalty. That's pretty cool. Have you done it before?
I did it back in 2022, and I wanted to go back, but I was like, I'll take time off to let other comedians submit. But I think maybe I'll just keep submitting yearly from now
That's a
on.
funny thing to say. So basically, you're saying like when you submit your tape, you're getting in. And you're
No, I
taking
mean not necessarily, but like I don't know. I think that it's like most comedy festivals are like, hey, we're not gonna have the same people 2 years in a row.
right. Yeah.
So it's like, why waste the money?
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. For anybody who's watching this doesn't have the context, Steve, pretty big deal in the Denver scene. Been doing comedy forever, way before I even thought about comedy, and is a headliner at Comedy Works and has runs Rotating Tap, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Any comedians that you knew or didn't know that you were psyched to hang out with for the weekend?
There were some that I hadn't seen in a while, and then like I met a bunch of them. And then like the main headliner was Rory Scovel.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they also had How Did This Get Made as a podcast, but like I was told to pay extra money to go see it, so I didn't go see it.
Oh, okay. Bummer.
But, yeah.
Bummer. How big, like how many people showed up for Rory? Sorry, I just ate dinner.
I mean, a couple hundred. There were a lot of people there. Yeah.
Nice.
It's hard because it's also like he's on while the headlining musicians are on too for the weekend.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But like Boise, there's like 60,000 people that travel there for the weekend. So,
whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it could be like blizzard, right? I mean, we're talking about mid-March.
They were all saying last year that it was snowing pretty hard.
Huh.
So we got kind of lucky. It wasn't like super warm, but it wasn't.
Did you drive or did you fly?
I flew.
Okay. Fancy. Yeah. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Steve Venderploeg, big deal. Yeah. Fly into Boise. Did you fly in 2022?
I flew out of Southwest because they still have bags. I got another month and a half of getting those.
I was just going to say, they're getting rid of that.
Yeah.
6 weeks to go. That's hilarious. I'm doing this thing coming up where I'm flying to Vegas, I'm flying back from Vegas, and I'm flying to Boston and back from Boston, but I'm not leaving the airport. And there's separate reservations, and there's like I think 3 hours between. Do you think I'll be okay?
I mean, yeah, Vegas flights don't really get delayed.
I don't feel like they do. I feel like it's going to be safe. The hardest part about it is packing. I'm going to be in like Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. That's cold weather, and Vegas. And I got to bring like merch and cameras and, stage shoes. And I only carry one bag usually, but
yeah, that's rough.
I know it would be better if I could like stash something at the airport somehow, like switch the bags or something.
I don't suggest doing that. I think you might have some bigger problems if they catch you hiding a bag there.
Yeah, that would not work out great. Cool. So so you saw Rory Scovel. Where were the comics from that came in?
All over. There were a lot from Seattle and Portland, a couple from LA.
Okay. Mirage, something or other?
Comic. Sorry?
The Indian guy from, I think, Portland, Seattle, one of the Pacific Northwest. Was he there? He's making the rounds, no?
What was his name?
Niraj.
Oh, Niraj wasn't there, no.
No. You know him?
I do know Niraj.
He played on one of those game shows, $1 Million Question or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he like won a bunch of money, didn't he?
Yeah, he won. He won like or $100,000 pyramid, and he won
I haven't talked to him in a
$100,000.
minute. I should hit him up. Like, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
He's done some rotating tap shows in the past. He's very funny.
Look at this. Denver comic Rennell Harden tuning in here. Thanks for watching, buddy. Ship stuff to your hotel. Yeah, that's like kind of fancy. When you stay at the the Motel 6, the Motel 5, they don't really take packages, but that is a good idea. My sister lives out east, so I could ship stuff to her. That's actually a very good idea.
Rennell probably ships weed across the country all the time. He's probably used to that.
That's funny. What's new at Comedy Works? What's going on in the Denver scene? Anything?
Oh, I don't really know. I haven't been around much in town.
Okay. Where else have you been?
Sorry?
Where else have you been? This is the whole podcast, by the way. It's just like we're stuck in a car or a bus terminal. We're just killing 30 minutes.
I was in Rapid City a couple weeks ago. They've got a new club, the West River Comedy Club.
Okay, I'm confusing that with Sioux Falls. Did you hear about what happened in Sioux Falls?
No.
With Mike Glazer? I don't even really want to say it.
I saw that video. Yeah. Well, like, I mean, like, the thing, it sucks that anybody acts that way, but also, like, if that helps you get followers too, because like those videos of people being shouted at or like have shit thrown at them on stage.
It's like Ariel Elias, who had the beer bottle thrown at him.
And then she got a bunch of gigs out of it. So it's like
she just did bail comedy.
That happens, but like at least there's a bright side coming, you know?
Yeah. So Steve Venderploeg, pro racism, everybody. Or anti-Semitism.
Hey,
depends.
If it makes you go viral. That guy,
if the camera's turned on, it's okay.
Yeah. That guy sucks. And like, you know, it's like if you know how some like I don't really post clips, but some clips have like video of the crowd itself.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool if we could see who that guy was, because he'd probably get fired from his job and stuff.
For sure. But anyways, so Rapid City. Yeah. That's I know that one. How'd that show go? Tell us about the room. Is it big?
Great. It's a brand new club. They've been open for just a couple months. Seats about probably 120.
Okay.
100 to 120. They're still figuring a lot out, but it was awesome.
Like a Friday, Saturday night single show each night.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
did you drive to that one?
Awesome. Like they really are ready to laugh there. So
nice.
Yeah.
How'd you get there?
I flew.
Frontier?
No.
That one? No, Southwest?
United for that one.
Oh, okay.
I try and fly United when I'm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
They get you with that status thing.
They do. You know? Yeah. Which they're really twisting my arm to join it. So probably soon.
That's funny. Who opened for you? If you don't mind me asking. Was it local?
It was a local, and you're putting me on the spot. I'm spacing on his
Native
name
American
right now,
kid.
He's like, he's like a year in, and
no,
he doesn't.
Okay.
You couldn't tell. You'd think that he's been doing it like 5 years. He was very funny.
Wow, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was just working with a New York comic, and he was like kind of complaining / impressed that some kid from, I think it was South Dakota, just showed up in New York City and got passed at the stand immediately. And, he was just he was kind of begrudging that could happen.
Yeah. Well, you got to get used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Any minute. Yeah,
exactly. And what I was telling him was like, probably somebody from South Dakota is pretty interesting material wise and like different. You know, he's not just talking about Tinder, you know, or whatever, or small apartments that every New York City comic is talking about. He might have some farm material or whatever.
100%. Yeah. A little diversity in the material is great.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, let's talk about rotating tap. How long ago can I ask, how long have you been doing comedy? I know it's a long time.
Stand up for coming up on 13 years.
That's incredible. Every once in a while, I'll like find some video of you. You look about 16 and you're doing stand up.
Yeah. I started when I was 24. So some baby videos out there before the beer gut started sticking out.
So how did you come around to starting Rotating Tap?
It was a combination of things. I had the idea. So I had been running a show at Chain Reaction Brewing. We just hit our 10-year anniversary
Whoa,
back in
congratulations,
December.
man. That's
Thanks.
cool.
And then it was successful enough pretty early on that I had the idea to grow it. And the original idea was like a summer series, Wednesday nights from like 8 to 10. And every Wednesday we'd be at a different brewery. And I just never had the time to work on it. And then I was fired from my day job. And so I started working on it and I got a couple breweries on board pretty early, but it really evolved quickly because what happens, every brewery that we work with has different needs. And so like a lot of them on Wednesdays from 8 to 10 have trivia.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want comedy, but we can't do, like, you can't have that time slot. And
Right.
I'm not going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to just not do the show, of course. So it was a matter of like developing around that and building and finding like different time frames. But yeah, I mean, originally it was supposed to be just a summer series of like 12 weeks. And now it's
So
like,
at like peak Rotating Tap, how many shows did you have going in a week, or whatever metric you want to say?
so I usually do it by month. Our busiest month that we've had so far was February, where we had 12 shows.
Whoa.
Tomorrow is April. We're going to have 16 shows.
Holy cow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And just so people understand, like, you're not at every show. Is that correct?
No,
Okay.
I have
So
help.
tell us how that happened, or what that's like.
It happened because I was losing my mind because it was too much work for me. And I couldn't, like, part of the reason I started at Rotating Tap was like, oh, Comedy Works is never going to pass me. And so I have to create my own stage time. And now I'm doing both. And so I can't be at Comedy Works and at these breweries at the same time. So I just started like freaking out and I asked people online for help and I got nothing. I made some Facebook posts and got no responses. And then finally I was just blatant about it. I was like, look, like I'm offering a lot of stage time here and it's paid stage time. But if I don't get people to help me out, I'm going to quit doing this. And then a few people were like, oh, well, we didn't realize that like you were going to not do it then. So if you need help, like I'll help out. And so I have Austin Black, Ben Daly, Nick Dean, and Patrick Scott all helping me. They mostly do the booking. That's the time consuming thing that I don't have time for is the booking. It's a lot of like messaging somebody or emailing them, and then you wait days for them to respond. And then they're like, I don't know, let me check with my wife. And it's like, I just need to have this lineup settled. So
yeah, and I'm sure people cancel like the week of, and then you got to replace them and figure that out.
Week of, I don't mind. Within 24 hours, I get frustrated.
Yeah, sure.
And some of the excuses I hear from comics, I'm just like, I don't think you want to be in this industry if that's why you're canceling. But
what's the best you've ever heard? The worst, I guess.
I heard one person, I mean, I've been told they just didn't feel it that night, which like I get, but like fine, cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's only really like I understand things come up. If people are sick too, like I don't want them at my show getting other comics sick, right? Like things happen. I understand that, but the day of can be stressful because then it's like I have to have like that's when the majority of promotion I think happens for most people.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you're in that final push, and then all of a sudden you got to like find somebody instead of just pushing the lineup you already have. Can be challenging. But yeah, I mean, for the most part now those guys do the booking and I'm doing the work, like talking with the breweries, setting up the show, organizing the showroom, doing all that other
stuff. Do you have multiple sets of equipment or just one? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We just expanded to our third and we'll probably need a fourth real soon because now we're doing multiple shows at one time.
Wow.
So yeah. So like this Friday we'll be at both Wild Sky Brewing in Littleton and River North Brewing in Denver.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
industry you've built. That's cool.
It's a good time. It's a lot of work though.
I'm sure. I'm sure. How do you think there's an advantage to running, let's say, 16 shows in April? Is there any kind of like there's a business term for that. I forget what it is, but economy of scale is what they call it. Like McDonald's, when they buy their potatoes for French fries, they basically are like the biggest buyer in America and they can boss people around. Is there anything that's an advantage to running a lot of shows?
I don't think so, other than like building the brand, right? Like,
Sure.
because I'm trying to get this
Find
out as
crossover? Do people go from like one rotating tap show to another as an audience member?
not if they're happening at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the idea too when I started. It was like there's a whole culture of craft beer fans out there that go from brewery to brewery to brewery. And if I can start captivating some of those people who are already going to be going from that already like want to go to Emporium Brewing and River North Brewing and Odyssey Beer Works, they love all those places. I might as well try and get them to see different comics at each of those venues too.
Hmm.
So then they get to go try their beers and also have entertainment at the same time.
Huh. Do you sell tickets to all these shows? Are some of them free or all of them free?
A lot of them are free, some of them are not. It kind of depends on the brewery's needs and wants.
Okay.
I really leave it up to them, but yeah,
When
it
when they're
varies.
ticketed, do they manage the ticketing or do you?
I do it, yeah. Except for Stranahan's manages their ticketing. They have their own ticketing platform that I let them do their own thing. I
Okay.
trust them; they work great. But
Sure.
everywhere else, I do the ticketing myself.
Okay. And so you talked about like marketing pushes. What have you found is effective to get people out?
Oh, I mean, uh, at first it's really hard to build, but once you start like developing relationships and putting on good shows, people are likely to come back, right?
Nice.
So it's like you spend a lot of time proving yourself that you can put on a good show. And then like now a lot of breweries, like the audience side of it's the harder part, I think. Now breweries kind of approach me because they know that I have a good product.
Yeah.
But audience members, it's like if they're not comedy fans, then you have to convince them that this show is good. And at first that's hard. And then after a while, you develop a reputation with them too, and they'll start coming back.
Right. Do you have like a favorite show? Did you ever have somebody like famous drop in or some crazy lineup that just happened?
I mean, we've had some crazy ones. There was one year where the Chain Reaction Brewing show was happening at the same time as High Plains. And so we weren't allowed to release the lineup, but it's about a mile as the crow flies from where all the shows happen on
Yeah,
South Broadway for High Plains. And so we had 7 comics from the High Plains Festival come do Chain Reaction. And
that's
it was
cool.
just like an insane lineup. Like
Yeah.
Shane Torres,
Whoa.
Shang Wang, Amy Miller. Like it was just stacked.
That's rad.
Yeah.
That's fun. Have you done rotating tap outside of Colorado?
Yeah. So we've done one in Wyoming. Um, and that was just kind of a test to see how that went. And I would go back. I still know that brewery and they're still crushing it. But we have a regular quarterly show just outside of Milwaukee now.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I'm going up there about every 3 months. It's in Port Washington. It's called Inventors Brew Pub.
Nice.
And yeah. And so I'm trying to like kind of develop a run for some comics
Do
too.
they have their own equipment or do you use local comics equipment? How do
Yeah,
you
they have a stage. I bring a mic. The mic they have is like super cheap,
right?
but that doesn't take a lot to pack a microphone. They have everything else.
What's your go-to mic? Sure, S85, SM85.
If I have money for it, yeah.
Okay.
Um, but I don't like the other Sures. Their cheaper ones are like so light and plasticky.
Right.
Um, but I am shipping up their spotlight up in at Inventors isn't great, so I'm sending them a spotlight that they can keep there and
Nice.
we can use whenever we're there. Yeah,
That's cool.
but they've been
How
great to.
What's that? Sorry.
They've been great to work with. We've done a couple shows there. They want to keep having us back. So
Nice. And you said you're trying to develop a run? Like, are you trying to get something like an hour away for the next night or something like that?
yeah. Ideally, it'd be a 3-night run, but every brewery is different, and so like building something like that it's tricky. But I am working on it.
Yeah. How would you rent a car or would you get like a local comic to drive you?
I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. I think
Okay.
I think the first step is get the other venue locked down.
Right.
And then ideally, like I want to bring people from Colorado. Right now I'm using their local comics. And I've developed a relationship with a lot of that scene now. And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to step on your toes. I have an opportunity and nobody else was running a show there.
Right.
It's not like I'm like trying to sneak anything. And they're like, no, we get it. And I also think that like, it's weird to produce a show in a scene that I'm not a part of. And so I want to let them know, like, hey, like I want you guys to be on this too.
Yeah.
But I would like to get some of the John Novosad would do so well up there. If I
Yeah.
could get someone like him. It's just I gotta make it worth their time and pay them right. So
Yeah. Let's talk about, so you mentioned wanting to be part of the community. Have you ever had anybody try and snake a venue from you?
oh yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Can you tell, is there a story you can tell without names, I suppose?
I mean, it happens more often. There's definitely been, I mean, it's happened so many times that like there's so many different stories of it. I think one was there were a couple people producing shows locally that were just cold emailing every brewery.
Uh,
And the breweries are nice and they're professional too, and they're not trying to get involved in drama, but like a couple of them are like, hey, just so you know, like these people reached out to us. And then after talking to a few breweries, it turns out that they were just talking to every brewery that I
right.
work
Going
with.
through the phone book.
And I reached out to them private. I'm like, hey, like I know you guys are newer at this, so I'm not going to put you on blast. But if you guys want to be producing shows at this scale, you need to be more aware of what's happening in your city.
Right.
And they were nice. They were apologetic. It's like, okay, like not a big deal. There have been people I've been put on blast publicly because they know better.
Huh.
And they're just trying to snake some stuff. So
Brutal.
I've also been accused of trying to steal venues, and I would never do that. But
Right.
sometimes somebody runs a show at a venue, and their venue reaches out to me about pricing and stuff. And
Huh.
I'm not going to say no, but I'm also like, I'm not trying to step on toes. But if they reach out to me, like this is a business, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I have receipts of them reaching out to me, but I don't think these people want to hear it. I think they're in their head mad at me just because I could do a better job than them. I don't know.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. Speaking of the underbelly of comedy, have you ever been like not paid for and that's not just for show producing. You ever, like, I don't know, gone somewhere and then just not been paid?
Uh, I mean, maybe early on in my career, I definitely
Because you did bad?
no, because I didn't know better. Where I was just like,
Okay.
oh, I guess like you got to work out payment ahead of time, and if I don't get paid for
Uh,
what I'm owed, like I'll give a grace period. Like I understand too, especially producing shows. Like producing shows, you learn so much about what comics have to go through. And so, like, if it's like something where it's like, hey, like you need a week for this check to clear, it's like, okay, like I can wait a week, not a big deal, but I'm still going to be asking for my money in a week,
right.
right? Um, it's been a long time since any of that's happened to me, but I would absolutely be making sure everybody knew about that.
Right. Yeah.
And I have there was a infinite. I have some Facebook drama from the couple of years past, but basically, I was accused of trying to steal a venue, which wasn't the case.
Okay.
And then when they reached out to me accusing me of trying to steal the venue, I was like, no, this is a misunderstanding. They just wanted me to perform at your venue. But that's like a whole other thing. But in a discussion of that, I found out that I was kicked off of a show last minute that I had been looking forward to getting paid on, and the show still happened. They just
Mm.
removed me from the show shortly before it.
Uh,
for not promoting correctly when that's not my job as a performer. That is the producer and promoter's job.
Yeah.
And so I still consider that as like, oh, you didn't pay me. Like I was on my way to the show and you kicked me off. That's not on me.
Got it. Yeah. Do you think show production has helped you as a comedian?
Maybe not on stage, but off stage, 100%. Yeah. Like I just, you know how to treat club owners because you know what they go through. The balancing of egos as a show producer is like all comics have crazy inflated egos, right? And so you learn how to deal with like certain people and the problems. And like a good example, I think, is like, a lot of comics will talk in the showroom during the show. And that's my biggest pet peeve. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
And what has helped, I guess, in a way, the long term is like also on stage because now I know better than to talk in a showroom when there's another comic on stage.
Yeah.
And ultimately that forces me to watch other comics. And in turn, that makes me a better performer because I watch comedy. And so I see what's good and what's bad.
Right. You get to go all over the country. You see a lot of clubs. Comedy Works is well known as a well-run club. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's also like it's super well run on both the positive and like the avoiding the negative. There's two things. There's like, hey, we're gonna do this right, but also there's like, hey, we're not gonna allow people to be shitheads here too, right? Like
you're on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't take no guff either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And they've built a reputation. They can do that. I just want to we're wrapping up and I want to remind people online, if you have any questions, you can pop them in here. Is there anything you want to talk about before I fire off some more questions?
I mean, I said my biggest pet peeve is comics talking during the show. That's probably the main thing that I want people to know is like
your main message.
Nice. Like if comics can do anything to help out, it is to just not talk while there's other comics on stage. That is, I get so many complaints from audience members being like, I had a great time, but your comedians need to shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. I mean, I can't believe how many times I will tell a comic to be quiet 4 or 5 times during a show. You'd think once would be enough.
Nope.
No.
It's the biggest battle I have with comics every time.
Let's see. We talked about marketing. You got any booking tricks? How do you No, I mean booking other comics, not getting yourself booked.
I think having a diverse lineup is important. Not everybody in your audience is going to be a white dude, right? Yeah. Like you want people that are going to relate with your audience. And so like a diverse lineup is really important. Don't tell Donald Trump that I'm about DEI because I'm not trying to get deported, but it really is important. Like it helps.
Yeah, I agree with you. You get a lot of couples and the couples don't always like, I talk to the couples after my shows and I'll ask, hey, who's your favorite comedian? And it's unbelievable how frequently they'll say different comics.
Yep. Yeah. And, because she probably relates to a lady comic better than him being like, oh, sports, my balls itch.
Where do you see Rotating Tap comedy going?
My goal for it is to take it on the road, to build more runs for myself mostly. Mm-hmm. Right? Like it's easier for me to tour with a brand like Rotating Tap than it is for me to be like, I'm Steve Venderploeg, this comic that nobody's heard of.
Sure.
Right. So the goal is to take it there. And then, there's a couple other companies doing what I'm doing. And if I build it successfully enough, I think that maybe I could sell the company. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But great. Like there's some corporatization going on in independent comedy that maybe I can rid my hands of all the work that I'm doing and just focus on my stand-up. But right now it's going too well for me to even think about getting rid of it.
Rad, man. Well, this is an awesome conversation. I really appreciate you. Where can people find you?
rotatingtapcomedy.com.
Okay.
Also ploogcomedy.com, PLOEG. is
Nice.
my own personal. That's where you find my lineups or my shows where I'm traveling and not
Nice. You got
being.
anything coming up that you're excited about?
I got a
Travel
bunch.
wise?
I'm going back to South Dakota. Obviously, I'm back in Wisconsin in May. I'll be doing the Rogue Island Comedy Festival in May.
With Doug Key, no way.
Yeah. Yep.
We've had him on here. That's
No,
awesome.
Doug's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that festival a couple times. Doug does an amazing job with that fest.
Yeah. It's
So
really
I'm
cool. I've
excited
been
about
out there, I don't know, 3 times just to like watch and volunteer. And I learned a lot. Like Vail Comedy Festival has a lot of lessons at, and Mountain Fresh Comedy Festival, even more, that I now do every October. I learned a lot from what he's doing out there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
He's done some great stuff.
Yeah, that's rad. You don't know who's that's in like end of May?
Beginning of May, early May. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I submitted. So it turns out I'm actually headlining one of the shows. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's rad. I mean, and the comics he gets are incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I had Mark Normand at the last one, I'm pretty sure. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, Natasha Leggero, I think, is on this one too. Nice. So
and Steve Venderploeg. Unbelievable. Ploeg Comedy, everybody. PLOEG comedy.com. All right, I'm gonna shut this down. Stick around for a second. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We're here every Monday.